Hey, welcome to the Hoop Collective podcast. We talk about the NBA. Today, we're going to do a look back at the 2020 NBA draft and do one of our favorite things to do, which is, now that we are so much smarter in 2022, redraft the 2020 draft. Joining me to do this from Boston is Tim Bontemps.
Hello, Brian.
And joining us from New York is Dan MacMahon. I just want to say, MacMahon, this is Bontemps' idea, so just keep that in mind.
So blame him. Can I get a howdy partners in here? My goodness,
Brian's all over the place
here.
It's topical with James Wiseman on his way back finally to the court after being out all season.
So I'm going to have the first pick here, right? So yes. And I've got
he just awarded himself the first pick.
I'm just taking control of the situation. Somebody has to here. So I've got a lot of evidence of Anthony Edwards lighting up, LaMelo Ball coming off of an all-star appearance, and James Wiseman putting up okay numbers in the G League. So, let's see. I'm going to eliminate Wiseman from the conversation. Man, I'm going with LaMelo, but I don't necessarily I don't know that the Timberwolves got it wrong. They certainly don't have to apologize for picking Anthony Edwards, but I am going with LaMelo just because I do think he's so special as a playmaker. At some point, he might decide to play defense in the NBA, but he is already one of the special offensive talents, both as a scorer, a facilitator, a guy who, if you have LaMelo Ball, you're going to score a whole lot of points.
Bontemps, who would you have picked at number one if you had this pick?
I would have taken LaMelo. I think having a guy who I think can orchestrate your offense is, I think, probably the biggest thing you can, most important thing you can find just about at this point in the NBA. I love my man, the Ant-Man. He's had a heck of a start to his career. He's been better than I thought he was going to be. I still think he's more of a pure two. He's not really a guy that, part of the reason we love the Ant-Man is he likes to get his shots and he likes to get his shots up, but he's not necessarily looking around to give the ball to anybody else to get shots up. I think that's kind of the next step in his evolution. So, and like Tyrese Halliburton is probably another guy that be in that kind of discussion.
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
But no, I would say LaMelo would be my pick.
Okay. I would have, MacMahon had the pick. If I had the pick,
you would have taken Wiseman. We know that.
No, I would have thought long and hard about, I'm going to take the second pick and I'm going to draft Anthony Edwards here. His skill, just his scoring skill and his confidence, he's a difference-making player. I would feel great about either one of those guys.
And Edwards is probably the best athlete in that draft too. He's a ridiculously
he might be the best athlete in the last 5 drafts. He's a
ridiculously skilled, phenomenal athlete who looks like an outside linebacker. I mean, the physique, the explosiveness, and the skill. He's an amazing player for sure.
All right. Okay. So I went with Anthony Edwards too. Bontemps, you're up with picks 3 and 4.
So the third pick to me is pretty simple. Tyrese Halliburton went 12th in the draft. Obviously played really well for the Kings last year, was involved in probably the most surprising trade at the deadline, getting swapped for Domantas Sabonis. But, when you look at his ability to run an offense, you can play on and off the ball, really good shooter. I think that he's a pretty easy choice for me there. Fourth pick is really tough.
Bulls went with Patrick Williams. You also have James Wiseman. The Warriors went with 2.
He went second. I mean, I'm thinking between 3 guys, and none of them are either Wiseman or Patrick Williams. I'm gonna ultimately go. I'm gonna ultimately go with Desmond Bane. In today's league, everybody's trying to find guys who could play at both ends on the wing. Bane's a really good 3-point shooter, rugged defender. Clearly, as we know, we all pay attention to the Grizzlies. He's got plenty of moxie to him and compete factor. We like that. So I'm going to go with him. I had 2 other guys I thought long and hard about, but ultimately I'll go with Bane 4th.
So Bane, obviously he went 30th to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies traded up on draft night to get that pick.
It was actually a salary dump. The Celtics traded that pick to get rid of Enes Kanter's salary.
Yeah, after the Celtics had picked Peyton Pritchard 4 spots earlier, and
Aaron
who else?
Neesmith, pitcher,
Aaron.
solid pick. Aaron Neesmith at the 14th pick, not so good. He will not be
Yeah.
in the redraft.
Yeah.
He will not make it. Yeah. So, Bane, I love Bane's makeup. I love the kind of player that he is. Fits great with the young, hungry group of the Grizzlies. Ultimately, he's he's already achieved so much. I think I've talked to league executives about this exact thing, about what his upside is, about whether his upside is to be a number 2 or whether he's, ultimately just a 3 or 4. But I can understand why you're picking him here, Bontemps.
Listen, his lack of upside, real quick, is the reason, supposedly, his lack of upside and his short arms are the reason he fell to 30 in the draft. And the Grizzlies are like, lack of upside. This guy got significantly better every single year of college, and he's taken a huge leap from being purely a 3-and-D guy as a rookie to being a guy who, he's creating a lot of stuff off the dribble. His pull-up game is gotten to be really, really good. Yep. He's a legit second option for the Grizzlies now. So, I know in Memphis, they don't feel like this guy lacks upside.
Clearly not.
Yeah.
Obviously there are a lot of people who do, though, and some of those people have already looked really bad. So, so with the 5th,
where are you going at 5, Brian?
So the 2 young, super athletic, highly high upside big men here I'm thinking about, one is Wiseman, and then the other, the guy who went 6th in the draft to the Hawks, Nneka Okongwu.
One of the 2 guys I was thinking about, Okongwu. Not that I do a ton of draft research, but when I did prep for this draft back then, I remember watching film on him and thinking he is the prototypical modern big. And he's been slow with some injuries, but I'm still a big believer in his upside. Wiseman, even to this day, remains a mystery to a certain extent. But I would probably go with Wiseman here just because his size, Okongwu, what is he, like 6'8", 6'9"? No, he's bigger than that.
Is he?
Yeah.
But Wiseman is
he's
just
listed
enormous.
at 6'8", but
he also guarded Giannis in the conference finals credibly.
No, hey, listen,
last
man.
year.
I mean, I agree he's got a more bigger defensive range, but Wiseman's size is probably the tiebreaker here for me. So I go Wiseman, but with a serious consideration for Okongwu.
Wow, that's interesting because I'm going with Tyrese Maxey without much hesitation.
That's the other guy I was thinking. That was the choice.
Yeah.
Was between Okongwu and Maxey. And to me, that was pretty clearly the choice.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Maxey, who obviously has gotten a much bigger opportunity this season. And, in his age 21 season has seized that opportunity, averaging a very efficient 17 points per game, shooting it better than 41% from 3-point range. He's athletic. He attacks. He's fearless. I love his mentality. He's from the DFW Metroplex, so he gets some bonus points there. South Garland High School. By the way, alma mater of Ricky Pierce. Can we get a bonus CarMax trivia out of that?
Ricky Pierce came up last week.
Yeah. So I love Tyrese
row.
Maxey's game, and I'm going with him with a little hesitation there.
All right.
Now, so you got to pick again, MacMahon.
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay. Then I will go with Okongwu in this spot. And it's interesting. He has played. Obviously, they liked him a lot. To take him at number 6. You mentioned the injury stuff. He's playing behind Clint Capella. I think he's playing well enough to where I'm curious to see this summer if the Hawks might not look into moving Capella and kind of reshaping the roster. And if they move Capella, I can think of some spots where he'd be a pretty dang good fit.
It's not a Hassan Whiteside, Bam Adebayo situation because Hassan Whiteside is nowhere near he's much worse player than Clint Capella, but it could be a similar situation where Okongwu is a monster, and as long as he can stay on the court, he's got massive upside for me. And to your point, MacMahon, I could see one way or the other them clearing the way for him to play because he's got a chance, I think, to be a really special big.
All right. So I probably should go with Patrick Williams here, but I just don't. I haven't seen enough. It's hard. I haven't seen enough. I just don't know. I'm sort of leaning towards Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey has not shot the ball as well his second year, but he still is a major talent, 3-and-D guy. If you look at some of the other guys that were picked to be sort of those types of players that went ahead of him, like Isaac Okoro, like Patrick Williams, like Devin Vassell, Bey has sort of outperformed that group. Probably should say Patrick Williams, but I think I'm going to go with Sadiq Bey, Bontemps.
Yeah, I think that's justifiable. I mean, Patrick Williams at this point, I think, has been more potential than reality. I sort of think he's going to be more of a Marvin Williams type in his NBA career, which is a fine player, but not the guy that necessarily Bulls fans were hoping for. And I could be wrong. We'll see. He's got a ton of tools. I am going to take Devin Vassell, 9th. Went 11th, I believe, in the draft to the Spurs. He's got a lot of Mikal Bridges in him. I think in a year or two, we could be talking about him as a really big time 3-and-D wing. He's got,
they love him, man. They love him. And when the Spurs love somebody, they're usually right.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that, he has all the tools to be that kind of player. And as I said before, everybody in the league is looking for 3-and-D wings. So I'm going to take him 9th, and then I will take Patrick Williams 10th. I think he's going to be a solid, dependable forward. I'm not confident he's got massive upside, despite his physical tools. But at this point in the draft, I would rather take a swing on him at 10 than, going for like Emmanuel Quickly or somebody else who's done more in the league, but is more of a, 6-man type.
Man, you can't even give Cole Anthony a mention?
Well, Cole Anthony, I would say, is in the same category. He's had a nice sophomore season. I would put him in sort of the same category as a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, a guy that I look at in a perfect world. He's a 6-man coming off the bench, scoring for you. He's become a better player than I expected, but I'd rather take a swing on a toolsy forward at 10 than a guy that I think is more destined to be a backup.
Who went 5th to the Cavs, slides out of our top 10. Killian Hayes, who's been a big disappointment with the Pistons, slides back. Obi Toppin, Denny Avia, Jalen Smith, who's already been traded.
I'd be curious to see if Obi Toppin got a chance to really play somewhere, because I do think I think there's a potential for him to be some version of John Collins, maybe, if he got a chance to really play a lot, but he's playing 12 minutes a game. So it's just hard to know.
And I'll say, I don't think Isaac Okoro has been a disappointment. I mean, you guys see the Cavs a lot more than me, but he
just gives them so little offense.
Yeah, I gotta call him. You can't draft a guy at 5 that's a 0 on offense. Like that's hard.
Listen. I'll say this: he's at 21 years old. He's starting for a playoff team.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. It's not like the guys. That's not like it's hard for me to sit here and kind of say, "Wow, that was a bust." He's starting for a playoff.
No, he's
team
not a bust. He's not a bust.
I wouldn't say he's a bust. I would also say he's a disappointment, though. I mean, he's a non-factor on offense.
Yeah.
It's with the way that team is built.
I mean, look, part of the reason they had to give up real assets for Karis LeVert is because Isaac Okoro is a 0 on offense.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, thanks for watching this 2020 redraft. Thank you for listening to the Hoop Collective, and we will talk to you guys soon.